Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Today, I will read a summary of a book entitled Sherlock Holmes, A Study in Scarlet, Chapter 1. Part 1. A Study in Scarlet opens as Dr. John Watson, a British Army surgeon in the late 80s, tells his story of serving overseas in the Afghan War, being shot and recovering at the hospital. Watson eventually returns to London, England, weak and in poor health, and takes up residence in a hotel. Just as he realizes his style of living is too expensive, he runs into Stamford, a former college for medical school. Stamford, upon learning that Watson is looking for new lodgings, exclaimed that he knows an eccentric man who's looking for a roommate. Stamford takes Watson to the hospital medical laboratory to meet Sherlock Holmes. Holmes surprises Watson by immediately noting that Watson has been in Afghanistan. Holmes won't reveal how he knows this fact, but instead he shares his discovery of a chemical agent that reacts to drops of blood, a process that will help identify criminals. At Stamford's prompting, Holmes explained that he has a suite of rooms to share, but that as a roommate he has some shortcomings: smoking tobacco, not speaking for days on end, playing violin, and performing chemical experiments. Holmes and Watson arranged to visit the room together. When Watson asked Stamford how Holmes knew about Afghanistan, Stamford responds that Holmes is peculiar that way. Part 2. The next day, Watson and Holmes inspect the room at 221 B Baker Street and move in immediately. Watson, stuck inside due to his health, studies his roommate. Holmes seems quiet and occasionally sinks into a stupor that suggests drug use. Though Watson dismisses the idea, Holmes shows great interest in certain topics and discounts others. Watson makes a list of Holmes' areas of knowledge: poisons, the soils of London, chemistry, sensational literature, and British law. Watson also noticed that visitors from different backgrounds call upon Holmes. One morning, Watson reads an article that discusses how much an observant person may learn simply by examining everything around him. When Watson ridicules the article, Holmes reveals that he wrote it. Holmes explained that he uses his theories about observation that to earn his living as a consulting detective. Holmes' visitors are clients, and often Holmes solves their problems without even leaving the flat. When Watson expresses disbelief, Holmes explained that deduction that told him that Watson had been in Afghanistan. Watson then mentioned his favorite literary detective, but Holmes disdains them. To change the topic, Watson points out a man walking down the street. Holmes identified the man as a retired marine surgeon, and soon the man knocks on their door and hands Holmes a letter. Part 3. Holmes reads the note, which was sent by Tobias Gregson, a detective at Scotland Yard. Gregson requests Holmes' help regarding the mysterious death of an American man named Enoch Drebber, who was found in an empty house in Brixton. Holmes explained that Gregson and another college Lestrade are the best detective at the yard, but they are conventional thinkers. At Watson's instigation, Holmes decided to help and demand the part. At the house in Brixton, Gregson and Lestrade show Holmes and Watson the body in the dining room. Despite blood splatters, the cause of death remains unclear. When they move the body to examine it, a wedding ring falls to the floor. Gregson tells Holmes that he's contacted office in the United States with inquiries with Drebber and another man, Stangerson, whose name appears on the letter on the body. Lestrade then discovers the word Rahe on the wall. While Lestrade presents his hypothesis involving a woman, Holmes examines the room closely, measuring and taking samples. Before leaving, Holmes says that he's determined that Drebber was poisoned by a man with whom he arrived at the house in the cab. He shares several physical details about the murder and explains that Rache is the German word for revenge. I hope my summary is clear for you. See you next time for the next part. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening.